Hey, greetings everyone. My name is Thomas Price, and we are on episode 12 of Lines on a Page. Let's see. Basically, we're going to be doing drawing, traditional drawing, as you can obviously tell, with both me being at home and also because I just happen to have a really weird setup going on. So, let me add this real quick. It's not what I wanted. There we go. All right. So, like I said, it's going to be a traditional drawing going on today. And basically, what's happening is that we're going to be drawing Namor versus Shuri from Wakanda Forever. It is going to be both my first time drawing either one of these characters, and it's also going to be my first time drawing either one of these characters in their MCU getup. So, let's see here. Quick thing I'm going to do first is going to be basically housekeeping real quick. And if you happen to like the show or any other show that's going on, please remember to like and subscribe. Every like, every subscribe, every comment, every share, every follow helps us out immensely. Also, if you want to follow me on any part of social media, remember to like and follow me through linktree.com/tpriceartworks, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also Patreon. I'm also going to be updating that link tree within the near future because I'm also adding a couple extra social media platforms, Mastodon, Hive, and also Tumblr. And the reason being that is there's been a lot of people jumping ship off of Twitter, and so I just want to update that for everyone who wants to get involved with it. And if you just happen to like me enough and you want to buy me a cup of coffee as a tip of appreciation, I will gladly accept that. And in the comments, I'm going to be basically putting down all the materials that I'm going to be using today. And it's basically just pencils, erasers, and also paper, which today we're using an 11 by 14 instead of the typical 9 by 12 that we have been using for all the traditional pieces. It's still using Stratford Bristol 300 series, so just kind of keeping that within the main parameters. But you can also, technically do this on regular 8.5 by 12 paper if you wanted to. Not going to stop you whatsoever. But yeah, so Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It was actually, I really did enjoy it. And if I can, there we go. One of these days I'll get this right. So I really did enjoy everything that was going on with that film for a sequel. And, as a sequel, especially with it being something that's in phase 4, I would say was well done. It definitely respected the memory of Chadwick Boseman. And I also enjoy that they wrote in basically, I guess, Chadwick's, fight with cancer within the story as T'Challa also having that fight with cancer. And that's the reason why you don't see him in the movie. So I definitely felt like it was definitely very well thought out, very well done, and like I said, it was definitely respectful to his memory, and I'm just glad that they didn't pull a Rhodey or uh, Bruce Banner by recasting T'Challa. Um, And of course, I think with a lot of people going in who actually know who Namor is, I can definitely understand um, the hesitation of the fact that they kind of erased Atlantis from um, the MCU and kind of recalled it something else. I forgot exactly what um, he had called it, but I did think it was interesting how they really leaned into uh, the Mesoamerican, uh, uh, yeah, Mesoamerican, Central South American, indigenous, vibe going on, especially with the dialect that they were using. I thought that was really cool. Um, I think the only two downsides that I had uh, with the film, and it was actually not the fault of the film, it was actually the fault of the theater, but apparently there was a moment, so the scene where they basically, where uh, Shuri and Koi are basically trying to convince Riri to join them back in Wakanda. Before they go to the next scene after that from the dorm room, there was like a one-liner going on. There was like a really weird crossface between the one-liner phasing out and the music phasing in. And so I completely missed whatever the joke was that was going on. And it's not because I'm old. It's because it really is the fault of the theater, and it's happened on several movies. And it doesn't matter where you sit in the theater. It's just a really weird EQ problem that they have with that particular room. And then there was also a moment where Namor was saying something, and there was like two lines of subtitles, and the bottom line was like cut in half. And I couldn't even see or decipher like half of what he was trying to say. But it was just like, oh man, this I hate that that happens. Um, but yeah, I really did enjoy the film itself. For a sequel, it was well done, and it definitely opened up a lot of possibilities and stuff going on within uh, the MCU. And I hope you don't mind, but I'm trying to look at his very ornate spear staff thing that he's got. Um, it's Yeah, I love the fact that they basically, did straight up say that, or at least he was admitting that, he is a mutant. It does raise the question of, well, this guy's been trying to seclude himself and everyone. Uh, how does he know about genetic mutations and stuff like that? So uh, I'm pretty sure that was just a giant oversight uh, on Ryan Coogler. But yeah, like I said, definitely enjoyed it. It was probably, as far as films were concerned, it was definitely the best one for Phase 4. Um, I did enjoy Multiverse and Madness, even though I hate the fact that it got edited for a PG-13 rating because there was like an extra like 15 to 20 minutes of footage that got cut out, and I really do want to see it as far as just the whole thing. But you know, I hate that that got uh, edited out from the vision that Raimi was trying to do. And we're going to be so Namor down here. Shuri's going to be leaping on top, doing her thing. Makes sense, yeah. So the biggest thing about trying to put together stuff like this is just trying to get the idea down and just with basic shapes. And the reason being is that if you just go all in with just the one thing, then you're going to be failing on everything else. So it would make sense for you to just, putting this together, always think about the bigger picture and everything. And of course, I think the thing that kind of makes it hard uh, when trying to do characters with like specific costumes from, like, you know, DCU or MCU or uh, is the fact of, you know, a lot of these actors have very specific body types and how they're drawn, uh, because this is not a likeness situation at all. Uh, this is a just having fun with these costume choices. So, and I think my other problem with people trying to tackle like super super uh, ornate costumes with these, mainly just like the texture of the design of the costume. Um, it's just absolutely crazy. Uh, I guess things that people just don't really think about whenever they're putting these, drawings together or prints together. They're trying to be, you know, a likeness of some sort, and it's very hit or miss with the person that's doing it. I mean, sometimes, some of them just come out super amazing, very photorealistic, and makes you want to buy it, makes you want to, get invested. Then other times it just looks like really weirdly printed 3D art. Just something about it just has a level of fakeness to it. And we are not about that fakeness. So I'm trying to think about the way that I want her legs to bend. Um, so there is a kind of an unwritten rule when it comes to comics as far as the perspective of people, jumping, leaping, flying, punching, or whatever. And we have talked about this before in a previous episode or two. And basically, it's if one arm is stretched out on one side, that means that on the opposite side, that leg is the one that has to be stretched out as well. Now there are stipulations, between that in terms of like Spider-Man, kind of doing that really weird leap pounce thing that he does. Generally has both of his legs, arched in and both of his arms out. It makes sense. And I was thinking about that uh, originally doing that, but I didn't want it to be, I guess, confusing for the person to be looking at this and be like, "Well, I thought you were drawing Shuri. It looks like you're drawing Spider-Man." So you got to think about doing things differently with how the legs are being put together. And which, I see similarities with how people draw uh, Spider-Man, Black Panther, uh, Catwoman, Black Cat, Tigra. If you want to go there, Tigra and Cheetah. So, there's only so many different poses and stuff like that you can choose from. But at the same time, there's also a multitude of poses that you can choose from. Um, but right now, I'm really just using my imagination and just letting it go. The only thing I really have to reference on is the costume designs for both characters. That's it. They're just a standing pose, and that's what I'm working with. So, whereas with this, I'm basically just kind of uh, visualizing what I was wanting in my head and trying to put it down on a piece of paper, and then everything should come out more or less accordingly. So again, like I said earlier, with this arm being extended as it is, that means that this leg is going to have to be extended as well. But I still wanted to have a bit of a bend for her to, leap forward. And it looks like we have some people in the comment section already. Ah, Mr. Breelove. Greetings, sir. I'm not sure how much you've missed, Alan, but basically, I had just kind of told my early thoughts about Wakanda Forever and basically just explaining uh, the poses that I'm using for this particular piece. The only thing that I'm using as reference is the character designs for both characters for the movie. Um, Everything else is just kind of so. Continuing on. So the cool thing is that when you're looking at I guess the body types of both characters, yeah, Namor is basically just this muscular mass comparison to Shuri's character, who's at least in the MCU is a little bit more lean, uh, definitely skinny in comparison to Namor. Uh, so it's almost like a height difference between the two of them. So trying to also think about that whenever I'm drawing over here because I want to show that difference of not just the muscularity but also the size of the characters themselves. Until M'Baku becomes the Black Panther, I could care less about movies. So what's funny is that M'Baku was like this C or D list character in the Black Panther whatever, and now he's like everyone's personal favorites within the Black Panther universe. It's the same thing with Wong. Like everyone loves Wong more than they do Stephen Strange. So it's really interesting to see how characters that people have didn't really care about as far as just like the everyday reader, and now these characters being like NPCs or like C or D list, and now they're like, I love this character. I want more about this character. And M'Baku is definitely that. Of course, Wendell, I think that's his Winston. That's his first name. Winston was just, he made that character interesting. Yeah, they definitely did. And it's the same thing with uh, a lot of the different movies have made Wong a more mainstream character too. Which I mean, I guess we could say, the MCU made Doctor Strange. I mean, even though he was, an A-list character within Marvel Comics, uh, he definitely made him a lot more popular to people who have never, read this stuff or delved into it. And I guess we could say about the same thing with characters like, now with Werewolf by Night and Man Thing and also Bloodstone and the Knight. So Kevin Feige, man, it's just making them millions. Right. I know it looks like a really weird uh, thing with the foot, but I'm going to get back to that later because I'll be dealing with like the arch, uh, the ankle being right there, so on and so forth. Because what I'm going to be doing is this number. Basically, it's just flipping the page around. Generally helps with trying to get like a specific angle on stuff. And it helps me visualize, muscle groupings and stuff like that a bit more. And I think what I could do, no, I have to put out just a bit. Means that all right. So now that we've got more of a layout, yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to double check and make sure that this is working out the way that I want it to. But yeah, so like I said earlier, I really did enjoy. It was a very solid sequel. I think right now is possibly the best movie of Phase Four. Um, I think the only other two that I genuinely enjoyed as far as movies were concerned with Phase Four is No Way Home and Doctor Strange. But I still has a ways to go as far as just the popularity of the TV shows that be going on right now. All right, Namor, Namor, Namor. So I'm not sure if I have actually have talked about this, but for those of you who have not gone ahead and found out about it, but I do have a private group page specifically for the Between Line sketchbook, which there will be a second one in the works. There's just been a lot going on with my schedule this year with just event after event after event. So really haven't had a lot of time to sit down on a lot of big pieces like I did with the previous sketchbook. But there will be a second sketchbook going on sometime down the line as far as whenever things start really kind of settling down for that. I'm pretty sure with the next couple of commissions I got going on, these things will be added, as well as anything else that I've got saved in my computer. But starting, yeah, so the private group is basically the Between the Lines group page. And so I'm going to be sharing some stuff in there regarding things that are going to be happening starting January the 1st. Something that starts with a K and ends with a Kickstarter for a one-shot thing that I'm hoping will definitely work out because I definitely it's one of a multitude different of stories and characters that I've had on the back burner in my sketchbooks that I just really wanted to put this thing out. So I'll definitely will be talking about that more within the next month or two. Definitely beginning of January. So that is definitely happening within the near future. I've got one or two things that I need to do first, but I do have new business cards that will be completely finished up and ready to go so that I can get these things out because I'm really excited about these new ones. And but yeah, like I said, really excited about these new business cards that I've got going on. This is Beer Connect. No, it doesn't. You should come up with original character and let me build a story around them. Let's do a comic backwards to see what happens. Well, if we did a comic backwards, then it would have to be the final product first. It has to go all the way down to the last and final thing would have to be the idea. Uh, so the one thing that I can say about this new project is that if you enjoy um, sorry, name of franchise just now left my head. Oh, if you enjoy Hellboy or you enjoy Sucker Punch, then you'll probably enjoy this. And that is all I can say about it as of right now. You know, almost forgot about that septum piercing. All right. I have an idea for one shot. I just need an artist. Hint, hint, nod, and wink. I mean, I am one. However, I do know of maybe three other people that could possibly point your way. So, if I just happen to be completely indisposed, I'm not saying that there aren't like three other people that could definitely point your direction that could probably also do a very good job. So now you know. I'm entirely loving the that Jay was coming out. Politically redo it. All right. I am going to need a ruler. And before anyone makes royalty jokes, I get it because they're both ruling members, but that's not where I was going to go with it. We're going to use the side of this. I email you idea tomorrow and see what you think. Yes, please. Or text. You also have my number. So, all right. So well, sorry. We are going to get into the topic of hands holding things. Um, and this really is I guess, a choice of both artist and also a choice of style. It really just boils down to what you feel comfortable doing. Um, I like to show a little bit of a separation of fingers because not every hand uh, is complete, you know, clenched fist when holding things. So, for instance, if you're looking at me holding my pencil, there's an obvious separation between these two fingers. If I was holding a staff or a wand, I should say, if you can't tell, uh, you know, there's a bit of a separation right here. So I like to do the same thing, with a lot of stuff, whether it's, people holding the most simplistic thing like a cell phone to the most complex thing, like a ginormous ray gun or something. So the knuckles are going to be somewhere around this line right here. So we've got knuckle one, two, three, four. Now, you'll notice that there's a bit of a separation right here between this line, that knuckle, and, if you're looking at someone's hand, there's a separation between what becomes uh, the beginning of the palm to the beginning of the knuckle. And because it's a side view, kind of gives you an idea. And I think I'm going to, because of how the hand looks, I'm going to extend out the staff, the width of the staff just a little. And then, of course, the thumb is going to be right there. Now, same thing down here, uh, except that we're going to be changing the angle of the hand. So now you're going to be seeing more of the fingers and less of this part right here involving the hand. right. I think the hardest part right now is yeah, this is the one from Wakanda Forever. So I'm drawing basically for the first time ever, not just these two characters, but also the fact that it's the MCU costumes. Not saying that I could not have drawn, comic version, but I just decided, let's just do these two simply because as of right now, they are the most recognizable costumes until people actually start reading the comics. But yeah, this is Kaluk Khan, the Feathered Serpent God. At least according to Mbaku. I think the hardest part right now is going to be all of the beads and adornments. So I'm going to try to get this as close as possible. And I'm going to give his ears a bit more point than how they were presented in the movie. Mm, I think step out just a bit more on the side. Yeah, so I think the other downside, which I was starting to talk about earlier, is the fact of, you know, costumes in comics and costumes in movies don't always translate well to each other. All right, and this is where it gets even more interesting. To figure out even more ornate things. Uh, so I've drawn, the Jack Knight Starman for a commission for a friend of mine, and that stuff. Tony Harris, is a man that's able to do detail very easily. Uh, and the devil is in that detail, and it took me a while to get that staff correct because it does have it's basically pieces of things put together to make this one staff for Starman, and I hate the fact that I kind of put myself in the same kind of situation because the staff that Namor has in the MCU is, just as ornate. But I will say it's a little bit less of a patchwork kind of stuff. Excuse me. I think the only ornate things are basically near the spearhead, and then at the very bottom. Let's see here. Which, by the way, if anyone here is watching this and they have never read uh, Starman from the DC Vertigo era, I would highly, highly recommend, um, finding a copy of that and reading it. Aside from, Sandman and the John Constantine Hellblazer series, and also Fables, I would definitely say that Starman from the DC Vertigo one was definitely uh, one of its best. Uh, Tuesday on this. So I'm actually trying to think of a couple different things to possibly do or talk about with future episodes for next year. So if you happen to have, you know, any sort of, characters or, uh, you know, things regarding uh, drawing, blah 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 blah. I know that really told you a lot, but it's basically if you have any ideas or whatever, please just let me know and feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll try to make an episode out of it for future reference. Tony Harris episode was fun. We really enjoyed. Yeah, yeah. So I knew that he had a method to his madness as far as using a lot of photos for references and stuff like that. So I knew that there was that side about him, but that entire episode, which by the way, if you're watching this and you haven't seen that episode, pause this right now. Go find the Shop Top episode with Tony Harris last Thursday night on Haven's Facebook or YouTube page and sit down and watch it. It's granted it's 2 hours long, but it's a really awesome 2 hours and also quite funny too. But definitely learned a lot about him, stuff that I didn't even know. I think smoking a cigar while in a hunched over boxing stance. The question standing in the rain under a street light. You know, yes. Um, Although I was probably more of a fan of the thing trying to find a sub sandwich on Yancey Street more than anything else. But yeah, definitely the question standing in the rain. Word spirit. I'm just saying, Will Eisner, why not? Let's go for it. I think the hardest thing right now is just when trying to put this thing together. And of course, I'm drawing characters that, I've never drawn before. And, just thinking about how they look and whatnot. It's definitely been interesting to sit and figure this out. But I hate the fact that I'm also kind of futzing around the same lines over and over again. But I think with what all that I have done, which it's hard for me to find a true reference to all of the ornamentation and stuff like that on his arms because there's so many you know photos and stuff like that, but it tends to be some of the same ones just copy and paste over and over again. So I'm trying to figure out just every little piece that I can find and just try to work with it as best as I possibly can. And even the spear itself has this really weird texture thing going on. I'll probably futz with that a little bit later. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, something about an hour to do. Let's go ahead and start working on Shuri. Now, the version in the comics, obviously, she's a lot taller, a lot more supermodel esque, and the Black Panther suit is basically a giant onesie unitard fabric thing uh, with the necklace and this kind of fur coat thing. There was around the time of the first Black Panther movie coming out, there was actually a black cosplayer that did a what she thought would be uh, Shuri's Black Panther costume, and that thing went viral. And it still resurfaces every 6 months or so, and unfortunately, it's people like not even uh, crediting this particular cosplayer, um, to this day. And to be honest, I want to say her Instagram uh, username is Cutie Pie Sensei, but I'm not correct about that. So don't quote me on that just yet. But just type in Black Cosplayer Shuri, and you'll probably see it. It's got the. It's almost kind of like T'Challa's new Black Panther uniform in the first Black Panther film with the whole kinetic thing. So there's like bits and pieces of purple kind of woven into her costume. But yeah, I really like it. But unfortunately, it's uh, this really weird amalgamation between Killmonger's and T'Challa's costume with the little dots that Shuri has with her makeup from the films. So yeah, so I'm only going to be focusing on just trying to get the suit correct as much as I possibly can. And then once I finally get the layout of all this done, I would probably just quickly kind of go over it with a harder lead. And next week's episode will be going in and actually inking this, plus also doing a background and stuff like that. So uh, I'll definitely try to get all that done as much as I can possibly today. And then, of course, next episode will be us inking it. I got to run, finish up tomorrow. Be safe, Alan. And let's see here. this more going on. So we got some interesting wall design thing with the shoulders. Let's see, go back to interesting things about the design of the suit that I didn't recognize before. It's going to make this bit of an interesting departure from my knowledge. All right. And it's more weird, ornate things. One. The angle of this particular one. That looks good. All right. Remember, kids, don't be like Rob Liefeld. Learn how to draw your anatomy. Okay. So now that we've got everything basically kind of blocked out, we are basically going to say this is going to be basically the end of the pencil sketching, and I would say near the final sections of just dealing with something like this. So, oh man, it was a long hour and a half just to get this done, but I'm glad that we got all of this done, at least with the penciling. Like I said before, with next week's episode, we're going to be dealing with the inking of this particular episode, and we're going to be doing a little bit more in terms of background and such, which I will probably be doing the penciling in the background of that during my free time, so that we'll be prepared for next week's episode. And yeah, oh gosh. All right, so final housekeeping stuff. Haven Comics is located at 1871 Slaughter Road in Madison, Alabama. If you happen to have liked this video, please remember to like and subscribe. And you can follow me on all platforms on social media. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also Patreon. I'm also going to be adding in a couple extra stuff in my link tree very soon. So that's Mastodon, Hive, and Tumblr. So a couple different places that you'll be spotting me very soon. Also, just to let you guys know, if you haven't been seeing my posts, please be sure to click the notification bells on wherever that you're following me on social media. It's been a constant problem lately with people, specifically any sort of creator whatsoever, has been trying to post anything on social media and people not seeing stuff. There is like a little bell notification. It's going to be near wherever it is that you have either clicked either like or follow. Um, it's going to look like a little bell. Just click on that. You'll get constant notifications of when things are being posted, whether specifically with Haven Comics or with myself. I would hope with myself as well. So you guys can get those notifications because apparently a lot of people had no idea that I was doing holiday commissions, and it's like 4 more days until the end of my Christmas special with my holiday commissions, and just people just didn't realize it. So uh, speaking of commissions, yes, I am doing commissions all throughout the holiday season. However, I am doing a Christmas special, and you basically only have about 4 more days. It literally ends on 12 p.m. on the 25th. That is Black Friday. And basically, the Christmas special, it will just guarantee that you have your slots in order to do a commission with me, and I'll be able to send that out to you in time if you're wanting something as a Christmas present. Just shoot me a message, and we will hash out the nitty gritty details involving that. Thank you guys again, and next week's episode will be part 2 with us inking this particular piece. Have a good night.